Hey, welcome back. It's Michelle.
And Miguel.
Today we're going to be looking at Miguel's version of the Mambabarang.
Mambabarang. You got it close. Yeah.
Okay. And it's a Filipino witch, and this is something that me and Miguel wanted to take our own interpretation of it. So the first one we're watching is Miguel's version.
Almost everybody knows what the aswang is, but there's many different kinds of witches in Philippine folklore, and not just the aswang. There is the Mambabarang, which is another commonly known witch that just loosely translates to a witch doctor or a shaman. And much like druids, they're more focused on casting hexes and simple spells to gross out people or to curse people. So they're kind of malevolent, but mainly malevolent, unfortunately. There are like good shamans, but mostly in Philippine folklore, their focus is on like these type of witches that can cause harm or disgust. So in my version, I basically wanted to make something simple, and I focused on various props to indicate that this is indeed a witch. So I have basically drawn a woman of color with really long hair covering one side of her face, and she's holding a staff, has a pipe, and has black markings on her body just to kind of give that air of like darkness around her. And she's got a sort of a tribal tattoo across her chest. So those are just things to indicate that this is Filipino, and it is someone with magical properties.
How come you made your character design more of like a young woman? I guess like the first thing you think of like witches and stuff, you think, oh, they're like old and have like gray hair. But in this case, it looks like you made the Mambabarang like a young woman. It's because it's your preference, or?
Yeah, I just wanted to make something more simple, and because we tend to think old and it's like really on the nose, but with age it could indicate something completely different. And also notice I'd have her smoking a pipe, and we often associate pipes with like the more older generation. You would think that, oh, because she's young she has a cigarette, but I decided to purposely give her a pipe. So it could mean that she may
not be young. She could actually just be someone who looks young, but they are actually secretly like 1,000 years old.
Yeah, she'd be like 3,000 years old.
Like, what witch is not know how to make themselves look young and still be old?
Yeah. Precisely. Again, just want to keep it simple. I mean, actually, I had an idea a more complex idea where I had 3 women, and I had like an older hag, a woman in her 20s or 30s, and then maybe like a 12-year-old girl to indicate 3 different stages. So it's more of a Wiccan preference to the triple goddess, the mother, maiden, and crone. But I felt that was too Western, just take too much time. So I just stuck with one person.
Is Wiccan something that's translated in Filipino superstition? Like, is it because you said something about how it's a Western concept? So is there like a similar culture or community of witches, Filipino witches, that's similar to like the Wiccans here in America?
It actually started out different. Nowadays, it's transnational, but back then it was specific to the indigenous community, and it was by the Western lens that we view them in the same way we view witches in Europe. In a way, they're mostly different in the beginning, and so over time, as with the age of the internet and people recognizing other cultures, then you can start to see parallels. But with indigenous witchcraft, there's actually this kind of link when it comes to mixing potions. So we know how like in stereotypical mainstream media we see witches using like a person's lock of hair or a tooth or a nail. And so in the same way, with the Mambabarang, when they make spells, they take a sort of symbol like a beetle or some kind of object that signifies the victim, and then they would take what you call a link, which would be an actual evidence of that victim. whether it be like a lock of hair or a nail, and they mix it in like a pot of stew or something. So that's something that's actually quite similar that we would recognize.
Yeah, so what I like about your design right here, it's still, I actually, to be very honest, I feel like this sort of doesn't give off too much of a Filipino vibe. Like, that's just my opinion. I think I do like the fact you did put like some kind of tattoo design on her body. I think this what do you call it?
A pipe.
A pipe. I guess that could remind me of like a Filipino element, but other than that, I feel like I could see this character design in something that's like in a fantasy game, and this is a character you would counter who may look wise and could give the main character the guidance they need, at least in a more ominous way possible. I do like how you darken the feet and her hand. I'm just curious why you didn't put the dark part on her other hand.
So that's more of an artistic choice because I didn't want to cover the definition of her anatomy. Because if I were to darken her hand, it'll be like she's wearing mittens and it would be hard to see, so I decided to just leave that one alone.
Okay, this is a really cool depiction of it. I actually like how they're sitting, so yeah, this looks cool.
Thank you.
Alright, well thanks for sharing us about the whole Wiccan stuff, or because I have no idea. I'm very noob about the witchcraft world, so.
Well, we can certainly talk more in part 2.
Part 2 we go!
Alright, hope you enjoy that time lapse, so